Juan Carlos Blacker is the host of a new show that's coming out of Get a Grip Studios. And he's going to be on the Joe Pater Experience. No, just kidding. It's called Get a Grip on Rebates, and it's going to be hosted by Juan Carlos Blacker, and the show is going to be Joe Pater. So we're giving you a little taste right here because we bumped into him down at Horticann. We sat him down in a chair, and we said, Juan Carlos, tell us everything you know about horticultural lighting and about rebates at that show. And so we had a good talk with him. So if you're into that kind of thing, here comes Juan Carlos. But before we do, we want you to know that this episode of the show, the last show of the year, the show of shows, the show of shows, is sponsored by our association, the National Association of Innovative Lighting Distributors. Go to naild.org. That's nail.org. And put it this way. If you have light bulbs in a warehouse, you should join NAILD. If you have light fixtures in a warehouse, you should join NAILD. It's your association. And people say, oh, what is my ROI of joining NAILD? Look, man, if you think that being an association needs to have a stringent, strict return on investment, then don't join. I don't want you. But if you understand the value of association, you understand what it means to be in a group of like-minded people that are creating educational products, that are doing hosting a convention, and that are doing a whole bunch of other things, you can come down and check it out. But if you don't understand that, then maybe that's a tragedy for you because it's a wonderful thing. And I've been in it for, I don't know, since 2006 or 2005. I can't remember. Greg's been in it since 2007. So go to NAILD.org. That's nailed.org. Check us out. Call up Sarah at the NAILD office. You can speak to Greg or I if you want. You got to make an appointment. But go to NAILD.org. That's right. Check us out. But for right now, we got Juan Carlos Blacker on the Get a Grip on Lighting podcast. The Joe Pater Experience. How's it going, Juan Carlos Blacker?
It's going well, Mike. How are you?
You know what's funny about this kind of stuff? I already feel like we've met. Because we've done the face-to-face and the synchronous digital communication, right?
You look the same in person.
Wow. You're much handsomer in person. So how do you go,
Wow. I don't know how to feel about that.
So we're here at Horticann Light and Tech.
Right.
What are you here for?
I am here for a couple of reasons. One, being in the horticultural lighting space on the rebate side or on the utility side, looking for how utilities are going to dive into this space and provide rebates for manufacturers and for users to get the more efficient horticultural lighting products out into the market. Now that LEDs are starting to take over from the other technologies that were used traditionally in horticultural lighting, we're seeing some efficiencies that are growing there. So I'm here to see what's new in that space. I helped develop the DLC spec back in a couple years back, and so I've been involved in the space for a couple years.
Because it's not all about energy savings; it's about production of the product.
Well, that's the interesting thing about horticultural lighting, which is so different than human lighting, right? It is not a way to see; it is a method of production.
Yeah, sure.
Right.
Man.
So the outcomes you're looking for are not so the color is good or I can see you across the room. It's really how much product you're going to get, how well that yields, how that product is coming out, the quality of it, and then the energy that's used. Because in horticultural lighting
Is it all about cannabis?
Yeah, of course.
Like it's like it's like horticultural lighting.
Yes. Well, I think that's why this conference probably, and I don't know this for sure, but I think this is why the conference changed its name. This conference was called the Horticultural Lighting Conference for the last couple of years, and this year they changed it to Horticann.
Yeah, basically it's cannabis.
Basically, they understand that cannabis is driving development.
Sure.
Right? I think there's going to be a lot of other uses in the horticultural space that isn't cannabis, but cannabis is going to be driving that innovation because it's the big thing right now.
Yeah.
So
we had an argument, not an argument, but a discussion that turned kind of into a bit of a heated discussion about, a lot of the purposes of what we're doing in the energy sector. And I think sometimes people get a little big for their britches.
Right.
And they start tackling words like climate change.
Right.
With a light bulb. Like you go from, climate change to your electric car. Like those are stretches. We're trying to renovate this economy. We're trying to get to a place where
where we have less of an impact. But, is that what this is about, or is it about growing food? Is it about cannabis? Like, what is the rebate space in this market for?
Yeah, so it's two things, right? The horticultural lighting in general is about growing the food, growing the cannabis, growing whatever the product is.
Sure.
For rebates, it's really to drive more efficient products, because indoor agriculture, no matter how you look at it, is incredibly resource intensive.
Yeah, it's energy
water,
intensive for sure. Yeah.
water, energy, all those things. One of the big ways to cut that down is look at the lighting, right? With LED technology growing in this space, we're seeing a lot of efficiencies there. So the utilities are driving those efficiencies. Not one, climate change is always a reason. It's sort of the back reason. But for utilities, it's because the load increases on these indoor grows is pretty great. In Portland, where I'm from, there are a ton of new indoor grows in the city of Portland that weren't there before.
You need substations to run that
right,
stuff.
That's load, right?
Yeah.
And that's load that they weren't prepared for. And so they need to bring down those loads so they can actually provide the power.
Yeah.
Right? Ultimately, at the end, the long-term benefits is that it's going to save power. It's going to help climate change issues. But really, right now, it's just to be able to manage the load increases that are coming into
the electric vehicle has the same issue. Like charging electric vehicles is a major infrastructure problem.
Exactly. So that's really what utilities are always focused on on the rebate side. They're
so
really
it's a practical issue.
Yeah, it's absolutely practical, right? It's to help manage load, help manage peak demand.
Sure.
All those utility buzzwords that we've talked about before on the rebate side of this podcast.
Does an indoor grow facility, is it typically an existing building, or what you've seen, or are they more new buildings getting built to grow?
Yeah, it depends. It's both. I think in established cities like Portland, we're seeing a lot of empty warehouses being converted into indoor grows, but you're having a lot of custom buildings built as well. Mm-hmm. Custom buildings are nicer. You can build that around sort of the infrastructure that you need, not the one that you want. I think in California and in other legal states, we saw a lot of people building indoor grows, not knowing what their needs were going to be in energy, and setting up shop and actually not having the power to drive what they need.
Yeah, I mean, you could not have the service you need from the utility on the building.
Right.
Like it's very even a warehouse style service may not be enough to run your indoor grow.
Yeah. Absolutely. So
it's a service issue from the utility. You need to double or triple the size of the wire coming into your facility.
Right. So the utilities are driven in a couple of different ways. Right. It is the service issue. So they look at those indoor growers as industrial customers. Right. Mm-hmm. It's not necessarily agricultural customers. It's industrial customers because it's in city. It's in established or new warehouses or new buildings, and they have to be able to provide the service. At least for the legal side, right?
Sure.
So lights are generally left on most of the time in these facilities, or are they cycling?
I'm not an expert grower, and no, it depends on in cannabis. It depends on what phase of the growing operation they're on. And every crop, every product that's being grown is different. So some are left on all day, some are not. Depends.
So as people are building them, do you think that a lot of them are still doing traditional technologies, HAD and hypersodium?
I think they are.
Yeah.
I think they are. I mean, one, LED is incredibly expensive in comparison, but two, the growers, they've been growing their products in whatever way they've traditionally done it. They don't want to change those recipes, right? Yep. The lighting and the HVAC, all that's a recipe in how you grow your product. And you don't want to make that change unless you have proven results with new, more efficient technology. So
even if it's a production process, it's a totally different thing. You're using the light to create a yield for yourself. Right. I think there's something to the HPS that I sat beside a guy on a plane that was a president of a company that was growing marijuana in Nevada, I think.
Right.
And I think they had 6 warehouses, and he said he felt like there was something to the HPS and the heat. There was something about the heat and the infrared that LED had lacked.
Yeah, so that's been the case, and again, I'm not an expert on the technology and the grow side, but that has been one of the arguments is that if you take out HDS and put in LED, then you lack a heat situation, so then you have to compensate with heating or HVAC systems, and so all that's a play. right?
Yeah.
The other thing, though, is if you have HDS, then you can't put plants close to the HDS. With LED, you can stack higher.
You can't do stacking. Right.
You can do a lot more. So there's trade-offs either way. But from my perspective and from where I come from in the utility world, it's really all about energy consumption. How do we drive that? In fact, one of the reasons I'm here is not only to see what's new and what's happening, but I'm helping promote a conference that we're running with the Resource Innovation Institute down in San Diego in February called the Indoor Agriculture Energy Solutions Conference, which is really focused on how to mitigate or to increase resources in indoor agriculture production. So I'm promoting that to some of the speakers and some of the manufacturers here to see if they're interested in joining that. You guys should come down as well.
Maybe we will.
Yeah.
So
no, I'm trying to, from a rebate standpoint, still trying to wrap my head around. So, is it more light equals better growth? Not necessarily more lumens.
Way too little time right now to go into that, and I'm probably not the person. There are some academics here who can tell you. And again, depends on.
There's probably some quackademics here too. I'd like to talk to them too.
Because what I could see happening is people that they take out 400 watts and they're like, well, I'm going to keep it at 400 watts. I'll just jam more LEDs.
It's not that at all, right?
No, okay.
It's all about. I don't want to get into it because you'll get emails about how I messed it all up. But
sure.
But with human lighting, it's about lumens, right?
Yep.
Lumens, color, temperature, that sort of thing. With horticultural lighting, it's about. I'm too early in the morning to remember all the terminology, but it's different. It's like micromoles per joule and that sort of right.
Stuff.
So
yeah.
Spectrums and again, not the technologist, but
sure,
definitely interested.
Should the rebates be prescriptive? Should they be engineered? Should they be some sort of custom thing? How do you think the utilities should lay out their rebate programs for horticulture?
Yeah, good question. And I think that's the development, right? The Design Lights Consortium, which has put a energy efficiency specification onto horticultural lighting as of about a year ago, have established sort of a baseline for utilities to work around in terms of what they should be looking for, what it looks like in energy efficient space, sort of like the Energy Star for horticultural lighting, or the DLC for horticultural lighting, the way it is in commercial lighting. But it's still determinant on the utilities. Some utilities have prescriptive rebates, a certain amount
for horticultural. What are they at? Like, what are the amounts?
Again, I don't want to.
Yeah, it could be all over the map.
You.
Is it over more than a couple $100?
In some cases, it can be. I've heard as much as $500, $700 per fixture.
So, so you were talking about the rebates and the amounts. You said upwards of $400 or $500 you've seen out there.
Yeah, don't quote me on that. But I've seen them, and it's constantly changing because technology is constantly changing. In the LED world, we had those issues in the beginning where they didn't perform. So you have growers who are scared, trying to get them back to it now that there are product that is quite good. And it's going to depend on the utility, what they're looking for, what kind of market there is for it. Like, in legal states, there is definitely much more need to drive innovation, drive efficiency than you might have in, say, the Southeast, where there's no legality and there's no need because outdoor is fine, right?
Well, what's interesting is that so we've seen we've had these what do we call it, the lighting controls boom bust cycle. Right? That's what I called it, which is like every couple years there's a big surge in excitement about lighting controls and then it busts. And it's happened probably 3 times in my life where we've had the industry get really excited about this new technology and then nobody adopts it and it busts out. Horticultural lighting's had a couple busts too.
Right.
And we've seen companies exit the space, enter and then go bankrupt, or enter and then exit it and leave it because they can't get it figured out. Has somebody got this figured out yet? That's what I want to see.
It's a good question. I don't think we know yet.
We're all here to find out that kind of thing.
I think with the green rush that has come with cannabis legalization and indoor growing and that side, you're going to have companies that come in, try to make it work, and they're going to go bust. We're seeing that on all sides in the cannabis industry, not just in lighting. People are coming in thinking it's the new.
Yeah, we're going to make it big.
Yeah, it's the new tech bubble, and it's not, right? It's much more difficult than that. So I think it's, do you have the right product? Is it performing?
Sure.
Go with the established big companies who know what they're doing, who have case studies with growers, who have proven results. Those are the companies that are going to last, I think. Not these fly-by-nights who come in and put together some, red, green, blue lights, and all of a sudden they're not producing. Because again, it's all about yield. If you're not getting a certain amount of watts per yield, that's really what we want to be looking at.
So you think utilities will leverage the DLC then to qualify fixtures, or do you think there'd be another metric that somebody comes up with?
I think it's going to go two ways. I think they would definitely use DLC. That's the kind of established way they have qualified lighting products in the past. And I think you'll see that a lot in the prescriptive programs. But in custom, I think there's going to be a lot of custom programs where it's all going to be about the whole building, how the HVAC is interfacing with the lighting, interfacing with controls, and that's going to be all custom, and it'll be driven on just the performance. So if a product that's not LED actually drives efficiency because it's better, even traditional HDS systems, then some utilities might give rebates for that. Because again, it's custom. They're building around increasing the efficiency of the whole building, not just the lighting system.
I think that you're going to see. I think the future of agriculture is indoor,
right?
For livestock and plants.
Yep.
I really do. I think chicken farming is already completely indoors.
Yep.
Like major chicken farming. You have cattle farming. In the Netherlands is all indoor. They don't. The cows are not walking around the fields.
Right.
All right. You see, cannabis leading the way in indoor farming, but you're starting to see these vertical farms and local farms pop up in cities. I think the future of farming is indoor, and I think you're going to start to see indoor agricultural engineering companies.
Right.
You're going to start to see indoor agricultural technicians, like people that are really specialized, like you would see that are used to working in stamping factories or whatever, that understand the process of metal bashing. Right? You're going to start to see the emergence of professionals in the indoor agricultural space, like a unique type of person, engineering, like an indoor agricultural engineer, right? And she handles HVAC, water systems, HVAC systems, lighting systems, but related to yield and growing. Right. I think you're going to see that, and it's going to be an exciting future the next 30 years.
I fully agree, and so I like I said, I don't think that we know where the boom and bust might be for this industry, but I think the potential is huge.
Like everybody's waiting. What's the year 2000 for horticulture? Like that, the internet tech bust that blows everything out, and then everyone builds from there.
Right.
And you have your Googles, you have your Apples, and who's going to win the race because something has to blow up. I think horticultural lighting is at a point where I think it's going to take off.
Yeah, I fully agree, and I think it will do even better if it starts to combine and work as a system in the whole building system, because these operations are not going to be just how's the lighting or how's this. It's really about how many, let's call it watts per pound of yield. Right? That's going to be the measure of success.
Or kilojoules per whatever per ton of product or whatever it is.
And also as these operations get the margins for these businesses get smaller and smaller as they are in cannabis, they're going to be driven to do more efficient processing or production because their margins are smaller, and that's going to drive them to more efficient products just to save money on their electrical bill.
Sure.
Right?
So we got Juan Carlos Blacker here interviewing him at Horticann Light and Tech 2019 from Denver, Colorado. He's also one of the faces of the Rebate Show. We haven't named it yet. We're hoping it's going to be coming out on Light TED twice monthly or something like that.
That'd be great.
We're talking about it with Joe Pater from Rebate Bus. Those two guys coming out. Juan Carlos, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem, man. Good to see you.
Good to see you guys, too.
National Association of Innovative Lighting Distributors, man. It's about association with like-minded people who do the same thing you do every day. What's the ROI? What's the ROI? What's my payback? It's $695 if you have light bulbs in a warehouse to join your association. If you got a problem with that or you can't afford that, then we don't want you, sucker. You know what I mean, Craig?
If you do want to sign up, I do. I get you totally. But check out nailed.org. That's where you can find us. But be a part of it. Be a part of something more than just yourself. Be a part of the industry and bettering it and getting it where it needs to be. That's what this is about.
If you have light bulbs in a warehouse, dude, this is your association, man. You have an obligation to join it, actually, and to help the industry get better and stronger and learn and grow, man. It's not Nailed is not about what you get. It's about what you give back, man, to the industry as a whole, as a group of people. And that's what Greg and I are trying to do with the Get a Grip on Lighting podcast. What we're trying to do when we took over management of Nailed. It's not about you. It's about us. It's about the industry. It's about giving back. It's about what we need to do as distributors to make lighting better. So if you have light bulbs in a warehouse and you have $695, give it to us right now. Go to naild.org, babe. That's right, buddy. Do it right now. I've been in the studio for 2.5 hours, so I'm a little bit hot, folks. So you're going to hear it. And then, of course, I was going to say, of course, NILD, because that's how I do these ads. But you know what, folks? We want to thank Juan Carlos Blacker, who's the new host of the Joe Pater Experience. That's right. Joe's the show. Juan Carlos is the host, and it's called Get a Grip on Rebates, and it's coming out in January. So wait for it, folks, and it'll be available on lightheadmag.com. We don't have any problems with that, do we? lightheadmag.com.
We don't.
I think there's a couple
part
peeps,
of us.
yeah, that are on that show, on that page all the time. Maybe Ted a little bit. So check out Get a Grip on Rebates. Join the podcast network. And folks, other than that, hope you have a happy new year. Bye for now.
Written on the rectory wall, there's a sign there for all. You are lost, Lord is there to find you.
Done?
Oh, I am cooked, dude.